A power of attorney is one of the most useful documents you will ever sign, and one of the most dangerous. Same piece of paper. The difference is entirely in who you name and how it's written. Here's what it actually is in plain English. A power of attorney, a POA, is a document that lets someone else act legally on your behalf, sign things, move money, manage accounts, sometimes sell property. It exists because there may come a day when you can't handle something yourself, and you'd want someone you trust to step in, rather than a court appointing a stranger. That's the protection. Now the risk. A power of attorney hands someone the legal authority to do with your money what you could do. If you choose wrong, the theft that follows may not even be illegal on its face. It can look like authorized activity, which is precisely why it's so hard to unwind. Here's the truth. A power of attorney is a good and often necessary document, but it should be prepared by your lawyer. Name someone you trust with everything, and never be signed under pressure or as a favor to someone who brought the paperwork to you. Abuse of power of attorney is a recognized, common form of elder financial exploitation. Sometimes it's a stranger who worked their way in. Far more often, it's family. This isn't a reason to avoid having one. Going without a POA can leave your family in court to get authority they need. It's a reason to be deliberate about it. Now the red flags around this paperwork. Someone else brings the lawyer or notary. That's the single loudest warning. Your POA should be prepared by an attorney you chose and paid. Urgency, we should get this done today. Legitimate estate planning is never rushed. Pressure is a tell in every chapter of this book. You don't fully understand what you're signing, or it's described vaguely, just so I can help with the bills. Secrecy, you're asked not to mention it to other family members. It appears right after a health scare, a hospitalization, or a bereavement when you're exhausted and frightened. Or a helper or new acquaintance is named rather than family, or one relative is quietly substituted for another. Now here's how to make a POA safer. You have far more control over the shape of this document than most people realize. Ask your own attorney about limited versus general authority. A POA can be narrow, covering one account or one transaction instead of everything. Springing powers that only take effect if you're actually incapacitated, rather than immediately. Naming two people who must act together, or a second person who receives copies of statements. Oversight makes theft far harder. Requiring an accounting. The agent must produce records of what they've done. And revocation. As long as you're competent, you can revoke a power of attorney at any time, in writing, through your attorney, with notice to your bank. Many people don't know this, and it matters enormously. So here's what to do. Have a POA, but make it deliberately, with your own attorney, while you're healthy and unhurried. Never sign one someone else brought you, not a helper's notary friend, not a relative's lawyer, not paperwork handed to you at your kitchen table. Choose the person by trustworthiness, not proximity or seniority. The eldest child isn't automatically the right agent, and neither is whoever is around most. Build in oversight, joint agents, an accounting requirement, or statements copied to a second family member. Tell your family who holds it. Sunlight is protection. Secrecy is where abuse lives. And know that you can revoke it while competent, and do so if trust changes. Here's what I'd do. I'd have one, because leaving my family without it could be worse than the risk, but I'd treat it as a serious decision made on my terms, my lawyer, my timing, in good health, with no one standing over me. I'd pick the person for their character, rather than their place in the family, and I'd build in oversight so that the arrangement doesn't depend on anyone's virtue holding up over years. A second set of eyes on the statements protects the honest agent too. It means nobody ever has to wonder. And I'd tell my whole family who holds it and what it covers. A document that gives someone authority over my money should never be a secret, because secrecy is the only condition under which it becomes dangerous. So let's practice. You're home from the hospital, tired and shaken. A relative arrives with a folder and a friend who's a notary. Just sign this so I can handle your bills while you recover. We can sort out the details later. Run the flags, someone else's notary, urgency, right after a health scare, described vaguely. You say warmly and firmly, I'm not signing anything today. I'll talk to my own attorney next week. That single sentence costs you nothing if the request was innocent, and stops the worst version cold if it wasn't. Genuine help waits a week. Only the other kind can't.